May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, preserving the legacy of Shunryu Suzuki and those whose paths crossed his, and anything else that comes to mind. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable and free from economic hardship and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. Today, we have the anything else that comes to mind part of Cuke Audio. And so this is a life in Bali episode. And we don't have a guest. I haven't been getting guests for the last few weeks because I'm just too busy. Right now, here's what's happening. As you know, if you've listened to any recent podcasts, I usually mention it. I'm working on trying to get the audio book for Crooked Cucumber together. It's based on the podcasts I did when I read through all the chapters, but had to bring it up to the standards for an audio book, and thankfully I'm able to do that. I mean, it was close, but it's different. The what I learned for doing podcasts, I should have started off learning what to do for audio books because it's a higher standard. But that's right. And anyway, you know, anytime you do something new, my friend Michael pointed out, oh God, I pointed out a couple of years ago when I'd spent enormous amount of time, and a few other people working with me had spent a lot of time. I just spent, oh God, for a year, not the whole year, but a good part of it, spent a lot of time working on getting a brief history of Tassajara published. Oh God, learning about all that, first using a printer and a distributor, and then finding out, oh, wow, how much money that cost when we didn't have any promotion or anything. Should have just self-published to begin with. But I learned a lot about how to do it. I learned a lot about the business. Michael said, something like the first time you do something, you spend all this time on it, and then the next time you take what you learn from that and use a lot less, and wish you'd known that to begin with, but that's what it costs to get into new things. So same thing with this recording. Anyway, you can probably hear them. I have the door open here, and there's noise going on out there. They're just starting to get started. One thing that's happening here is thanks to a generous gift from a future guest here, we are making a nice size guest room. And the little tiny guest room we had is what I've been using as a recording studio. And I want to keep doing that. I don't want to give it up. And it's not enough for, Katrinka's son and his wife and their 2 kids. So building a pretty nice sized room. The only place we could do it is above our bedroom. This is a 2-story house, but our bedroom is an add-on, that had an asbestos roof. I can see. I didn't know what it was, but they're tearing it apart. And I told the contractor, Cardino, I said, "Hey, man, that's the most dangerous substance to work with on Earth, short of, radiation." That's true. That's true. Asbestos workers have they have lung disease problems at a rate like people who work with plutonium. So we do have a lot of masks around here because of the pandemic. So, some very nice young workers there. Oh man, they're making a lot of noise. But had to take, in order to build this above our bedroom, they have to reinforce the wall of the bedroom. Like, essentially build it's about 5 inches wall, and there's concrete and rebar and everything. And they're slowly taking the roof and the ceiling for the bedroom out. So we had to take everything out of the bedroom. And everything. Our electrician, plumber, his guys came in and took the air conditioner out and the ceiling fan out. And next the lights came out. The outlets came out. And so Katrinka's living with a friend. I'm sleeping up here in the studio, which has a bed. And it'll be nice. This bed, Cardino built, the contractor. It's very nice. And he built it so that it comes apart, And, hi, Bondi, come on up here. So this bed will be in the guest room. And then I can make this a little more... I can make it a studio that works a little better. I don't need all this room taken up by the bed. I do like to have a pretty big surface because I like to sit with my legs crossed most of the time. And I like to be able to put them down, too. So we've got about 5 guys working here. And, there's a lot of noise going on. They're knocking things apart. We had a big, outside the porch on the second floor and back, is very tiny. There's this big, like, concrete block there that was covered in tile, and it was to hold a water tank. And they knocked it out. Oh, my God. And they didn't bring in any power jackhammer or anything. They did it with, hand tools. And they didn't even use a small sledge. I couldn't believe it. The insides of it were filled with, it really was like a cement box that was filled with rocks and sand. It didn't have dirt. It was like debris from building or something because the water tank that went on it was so heavy, I guess they wanted it to be filled. Anyway, knocking that apart, knocking the walls, cutting rebar and everything. And I'm sitting there in the living room, and they had to move my area out front. I work out front too, a lot on a sort of, Katrinka calls it a settee. It's not like a couch that's soft. It's got a very firm piece of, what is that? Like very firm styrofoam or something like that that's covered on it. And it's a carved wooden thing. Had it moved up on the Bali, which is like a stage with a roof on it. A traditional part of a Balinese home, so that I have an outside place to work up there too. So I'll sit up there, or I'll sit in the living room on the couch in there and work. And there would just be banging and, power tools. Not a lot of power tools, but some, especially, cutting the rebar and stuff going on. And I love it. I love even working on audio. I can do it. It doesn't bother me. It's like I like to be around construction. I wrote a little something about it on Cute Nonsense blog, and I said, I'm just sorry there isn't any heavy equipment. One thing about being around these people, Cardino is sleeping here. I mean, he doesn't ride a motorbike. He's an older guy, and he's been doing things for us for 7 years. Because he worked for the owners of the apartment and the homestay where we lived the first 3 years here, and oh God, he's done so much, and he's from Java. He's a Muslim from Java. All the guys are from Java, and it's just so nice being with Cardino here. He's very quiet. He gets up, at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I've been getting up early. It's just totally quiet, and I get up and drink hot water and do some walking meditation, and then I sit. Well, he's quietly sitting out there too, and we're just both very quiet, and it's really nice. Katrina and I are quiet too in the mornings. But also when work's over, around 5, or he might keep going till 6 or something as people are leaving. He might go till 7, but then in the evenings, it's quiet again, and neither one of us play music. I almost never play music. I've been around a lot of music in studios, and music's been a big part of my life. And I hear enough from what Katrina plays and other people play, and every once in a while I'll put something on like jazz or classical. I tend not to put on stuff with words, which is really weird because I've written like 1,000 songs. Over that, I've written over 1,100 songs that I've recorded. They're down, right? And there were probably a couple thousand that were lost. And a lot of them are like super wordy and everything. But to me, the best music is nothing. Anyway, these guys, working with these guys, we filter our water here. I mean, everybody buys water, and you can get these filters that make good drinking water just out of tap water. So we got another one, and used it and put it in the kitchen, and put the one that we had that was a few years old outside, so they have drinking water, and I'll fill that. Then Nyoman got some cups, some plastic food grade cups that can take hot coffee. They're sort of like mugs, and we got coffee from them, and they really prefer like instant coffee. It's better than instant coffee was when I was a kid, according to people who drink coffee. So we provide them with that, and they're really nice to relate to. This is almost always true here. And the difference between people here, I mean, it's sort of hard to say, but I visited Renee Pate in prison, and Minnesota a couple of times. He was an old Zen student that got into heroin smuggling. And he spoke rather quietly when I saw him. And he said, you can't lead with your personality in here. And that's sort of what people are like here. They're just much more quiet and low key. They're polite with each other. There's no, and they concentrate on work very well, but they each have a personality, and they're really good to relate with. But there's just, I mean, we have so much drama and personality. I wonder if, I was thinking about it, like Americans and a lot of Europeans, and, expressing ourselves and having something, and around work sites and construction sites in America, which I've spent a certain amount of time around, there's banter and there's different personalities. There'll be conflicts. I don't see any of that. It's like very harmonious and, just less, they've just got less ego or something, or I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, I was thinking about that. People were a little more that way, especially less sophisticated people, like country people, and black people in the South, and very soft and polite and quiet. Of course, a lot of them had to learn to be that way to survive and not really, literally, not be, beaten up or killed by white people. But anyway, I'll have to think about it, how to express it. They're just very polite. People from Java are very polite. The kids, if I meet some kids, somebody brings their kids over, the kids take my hand and put it to their forehead as a sign of respect. And there's a woman at the Colonial House, guest house next door, who's from Java, and she's Chinese, Javanese, whose background is, a Buddhist family. And I've run into this before. She went to a Catholic school, so she became a Catholic, and now said she's an agnostic. She said, our religion's just a man's thing anyway. I thought that was great. But anyway, she calls me Mr. David. There's a lot of that in Asia, and I said, and she will not call me Mr. David and sir, because I'm older. I said, well, I'm going to call you ma'am. She said, no, I'm not old enough. Anyway, I got to get to work. I just wanted to tell you what's happening. I have a lot more to say, but I think I'll save that for another time. I just wanted to tell you what's happening. Oh, I want to say one thing. I couldn't find Bondi last night. I was doing this recording for a podcast with John Palmer. And so we went until 11:30 in the evening. I really had to get to sleep. I was so tired. But I didn't see Bondi. And I went around the house and looked outside. And the gate's closed. She wouldn't go away if it was open. And Cardino had her, he's staying in, with the door closed in the room there that they're working on. It's pretty big. He's staying on the edge where the ceiling's not coming out. That's part of the original house. And Bondi was in there with him, and he really loves Bondi. And Muslims, the trip with them is dogs and pigs are unclean. You don't touch them. You don't get near them. And but there's some Muslims, and I see it, even going down the street, there'll be a group of Muslim women coming down there, fawn all over Bondi and pat her and stuff. And others will look, it'll be like she's radioactive, will move away. I don't see Mudik, the plumber electrician, he doesn't like Bondi to get too, he's gotten used to it. I mean, he's very easygoing. But Gardino is in there with Bondi. He rides a bicycle. He lives 15 kilometers away and would ride a bicycle over here to bring me a little something. I'd say, wow, you came all the way for that? He said, yeah, it's nothing. Anyway, I thought it was sweet. Bondi was in there with him, but I opened the door. He was asleep, and she came out. Okay. So until next time, this is DC Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives with another episode of Life in Bali, what it's like living here in Bali. And one thing I tell you is just relating to people. And the Balinese, the Hindus here, almost entirely very good to relate with. The Javanese are too. The Javanese very good to relate with. Be around. And coming to you from Sleepy Sanur with Dogat Bandita, Feline Cuchita, and dear, lovely Katrinka, who will be coming back this evening to spend the weekend here. And I told Cardino, how about y'all take off tomorrow? Don't work on Sunday. And he went, oh all right. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.